Another educating episode on TV and Business. I am Chiwendu Osisiago, and today we'll be looking at value-added tax. A value-added tax (VAT) is a consumption tax placed on a product whenever value is added at each stage of the supply chain, from production to the point of sale. The amount of VAT that the user pays is on the cost of the product, less any of the cost of material used in the product that have already been taxed. This is what we shall be discussing on TV and Business today. But before we proceed, we were on the streets of Abuja to get the views of Nigerians on their perspective on the meaning of the term VAT. Let's have a look. We'll be right back. Shop in supermarkets in Nigeria, you would notice a certain amount of value-added tax VAT on your receipt. Typically, this is really an issue since the price is inclusive of VAT. As a business owner or individual, it is important to know the VAT regime in Nigeria for proper planning. It addresses the most frequently asked questions on VAT. So, what is VAT? Value-added tax (VAT) is a tax levied on the supply of taxable goods and services in accordance with the Value-Added Tax (VAT) Act 2007, which governs the administration of VAT in Nigeria. For instance, in a manufacturing company, the VAT begins from the purchase of raw material until it gets to the final stage. Even though a taxable person is accountable for VAT, it is an indirect tax because the tax burden passes to the final consumer.
VAT, value-added tax, or in some countries where you call it goods and services tax. They are tax levied on the consumers. They are tax paid by the consumers. What do I mean? For example, let me give you an example. If I sell yam, for example, I sell it to somebody who is going to make chips, yam chips. And then I sell the yam for 15 naira. And the person buys it, the person who is going to make the chips, and then sells it to the final consumer for 100 naira. Now, the VAT in that chain of transaction now is 15 naira and is paid by the consumers. So VAT is actually the tax paid or levied on the consumer in the chain of production.
Some of Nigerians want to be cheating. They don't want to be paying tax. This tax people are paying is helping the government to develop. There's some problem Nigeria have. Nigeria is a group country. If Nigeria is well-organized country, people will be paying their tax without not government to come to their area. When your tax expires for 1 year, you look for the tax office and go there and pay your tax and take your receipt.
Nigeria is already a society whereby we pay very little or no tax. So there's always a need to increase value-added tax, which is the VAT tax on some of the goods and services. But there must be a constant rejiggling of the process so that you will not have a situation whereby you take the incentive away from production. Have it in a way that people will continue to have that willingness to engage in buying and services because you already have an economy with low production.
Organizations and businesses normally pay tax on the government. So the tax the government can generate funds. And when they generate funds, so they can use the funds to create more job opportunities. And also, it's also a way to create revenue for the state, for the federal government.
Government depends on tax to provide basic amenities for the smooth running of social and business activities in the country. So it is a civic responsibility of every Nigerians and expatriates to pay their tax duly to enable government service better. I am Chiwendu Osisiago reporting for TVN News, Abuja. Welcome back, and in case you're just joining us, it's TV and Business, and of course my guest is here to do justice to that value-added tax we've been discussing about. Guest, you're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much.
And
but my name is Victor Tehemba, not a guest.
Okay, Mr. Victor Tehemba, you're welcome to TV and Business, sir.
Thank you very much.
So my first question for you today, that in the layman's term, what is VAT? Because most people don't know this term called VAT.
Yeah, In very simple terms, not to complicate issues, VAT is just what you call spending tax.
Okay.
So it is the tax you pay for spending the money you have earned.
Okay.
Yes. So that's just it. But you, as you know, VAT is not on every. It's not on every product that you spend money on. So they're actually less unlimited.
Okay, so that is what VAT is just all about.
VAT is just spending tax. The tax you pay for spending money on certain goods and services.
Well, most people just go to the supermarket and buy whatever they want to buy, not knowing that that value-added tax is always included.
And you see, that is basically the kind of ignorance that actually plays out. So when you are talking to a layman, and he will say, when you go to the abroad, those people, they pay tax. If you buy a shirt, you pay tax. They don't know that they also do that here in Nigeria.
Yes.
So when you go to the market, you buy a shirt or a pants, whatever it is, you're paying tax for that. So
when you look at the receipt, you realize that the VAT is included.
Yes, it is always necessary that, and at a point in time, they started punishing people whose receipt did not have a VAT inclusive there. So even when you buy recharge card, you find VAT inclusive. So this is how the Federal Inland Revenue get to collect all of the money here.
Okay, thank you. What sort of goods and services have this VAT on them?
For goods that are VAT exempted or they pay tax, or they
one that they pay.
They pay. Okay, mostly those things that are not entirely necessary. Just to put it simple, those things that are not entirely necessary.
Okay.
Those things like that are like luxury items, whatever. So like tax exempted goods, we for example include basic food items like your rice, gari, yam, whatever it is. You can get that. You don't pay tax for that. But then when you start looking at other kinds of food, like maybe canned food, or you go to a good restaurant to go and eat. So those are just what do you call it? You are looking for additional enjoyment for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, so you pay tax, you pay VAT on those particular ones.
But this thing have been bothering me, Are you trying to tell me that those people are selling normal things on the road, like all these biscuits, am I supposed to pay tax to, or just supermarkets because it's a supermarket?
You see, in supermarkets or the roadside?
No, a roadside is just different from a big supermarket.
Yes.
Do you understand? So I'm just trying to ask that: am I supposed to pay tax to a normal person just selling a normal businessman selling something on the road?
Like you actually briefly defined before this program started. Because I was hearing from the other side. You said this VAT is at different levels, both from the production, both from the manufacturing to the distribution, and then the consumption.
Yeah.
So yes, those kind of biscuits type, all those ones that you don't, because you go and buy biscuit, nobody will give you a receipt that also includes 5% VAT tax rate. But then the VAT on that particular thing has already been taken care of by the company manufacturing it and distributing it.
Okay, so how does VAT benefit the average man on the street?
You see, the thing is, government is actually in a place to take care of the people. Okay. And the people take care of the government. The government exists because of the people exist for the government.
Okay.
So the thing is, when we lament, we complain that we don't have proper healthcare facilities, roads, and all of this. Government needs money to do all of those things.
Okay.
So where government, one of the ways, in fact, it is actually the most important way and the biggest way that government raises money is through tax. So when they get this tax, that is where they actually get to provide all of these things that we need. So how it's beneficial to the common man is that basic, amenities are provided from the money accrued from tax.
Okay. So don't you think that VAT payment amounts to double taxation? Because some workers or incomes have already been taxed income tax.
No. It is not double taxation. Yeah, okay. Because income tax pay as you earn. Oh. Right. So you could actually not be working, but you will still be paying tax. Yeah. You will be paying tax via VAT, for example. Yeah. And pay as you earn, payee is mostly removed, deducted from your employer, removes it on your from your pay, and then gets to the government and all that. But the thing is, somebody who is not employed but in a way comes in contact with money that he wants to go and enjoy something somewhere, or he wants to buy a car or whatever, you pay VAT on that. So you are paying tax. So it is not double taxation. So you are paying tax for, working, and then you're also paying tax for spending the money that you earned from working. So it is not double taxation. Double taxation will come into place when maybe your employer takes money out from your salary as tax, and then government also is trying to ask you to do the same thing. So that comes to be double taxation.
So are you trying to tell me that it's only business people that pay tax?
No, everybody, like I just said, I say if you are employed, you pay tax.
Okay.
Just the fact that you're employed, so you are not a business person. But you pay tax. So how businesses, some businesses in terms of VAT, how they even collect, they're actually the ones in charge of collecting VAT on behalf of FRS and all of that. So basically.
All right. Okay, now we shall be going on a quick break, and when we return, we shall continue. So don't go away.
This is Television Nigerian, a broadcast network committed to serving you the very best in online and offline television programming. Situated in the serene environment of Guzape, Abuja FCT, TVN, as it is fondly called, caters to a wide variety of audience via carefully orchestrated mind-blowing programs in the areas of fashion, business, politics, entertainment, religion, movies, food and health, culture and lifestyle, events around the globe, sports and foreign news. Whatever your inclination, we've got you completely covered with programs like Issues of the Moment, The Patriot, Daybreak Nigeria, Mata Africa, TVN Business Time, Healthy Living, From the Cradle, Stay Inspired, Entertainment Gist, Movie Hour, Hits Paradise, among others. All designed to keep you thoroughly informed, entertained, at the edge of your seat and yearning for more. A tour around our domain will reveal a highly dedicated staff force and a state-of-the-art facility and equipment for high-definition quality broadcast, making our station your #1 choice in advertising your business and propagating your ideas. We are currently on NightComSat doing our test transmission for takeoff in the nearest future. Television Nigerian is located in Nigeria at Television Nigerian House, Guzape Hilltop Mansion, beside Guzape White House, Guzape Abuja FCT, and in the United Kingdom at 45 Ancient House, 48 Aerodrome Road, Beaufort Park, Colindale, London. For inquiries, Television Nigerian, broadcast beyond boundaries.
All right, welcome back. And in case you're just joining us, it's still TVN Business. And of course, my guest has been doing justice to the topic value-added tax. He is Mr. Victor Teema. Like I earlier said, he's an analyst. He has been educating us on value-added tax. And to those of you that don't know what tax is, I hope you will learn from it today. Mr. Victor, thank you, because I know you have doing justice to that. So the next question for you today is, in a bid to diversify the Nigerian economy, the government has intensified its tax drive. So what's your view to this level of compliance?
Okay. The tax regime so far has been quite effective. Now, I'm not a fan of this particular administration. I most of the times do not agree with their policies, but on this particular issue, I agree and I actually commend them that they are doing well. So we needed to diversify, to have other means of generating revenue, and then they focus on the tax regime, how to make it more effective and less compliant. And then they introduced, that should be 2017, they introduced VAT, that's a voluntary asset income declaration scheme, so that when you do it on your own, they give you that that's adequately that kind of waiver.
Okay.
Yes, that because you declared on your own, you fill the funds by yourself. If you're not be paying tax before, they're going to waive for you. It won't be a crime and all of that. And then this was aimed at expanding the tax net so that you can get more people to be tax compliant, and then it worked actually. So when we look at the tax regime revenue has actually been growing. So we look at 2016, they were generating about 3.31 trillion naira generally. Then by 2017, it moved on to 4.1 trillion naira, and then by 2018 they have about 5.3 trillion naira. 2018 as of December, and then that's why as of recent they were planning that by they had a target of 6.6 trillion naira for this year. So you can see that it's growing. And another dimension to this thing is that the percentage of oil tax contribution to our general tax revenue is dropping. So the same thing in 2016, you have about 65%, and then it dropped down to 62%. Right now we have about 57%. But the paradox of that is that it's actually like a paradox, because why the percentage of contribution of oil tax to our is actually dropping, the amount the oil tax is actually contributing to our revenue is increasing. So you could find like in 2016, for example, it's about 2.17 trillion, and right now it's about going to 4 point something. So it's actually going good, and the government is doing a lot in generating revenues. So you could find that what they call FRS is getting about 5.3 and targeting 6 trillion this time around. And then you look at custom now are getting within the range of 900 billion naira to that of 1 trillion. When you look at that jump, that I was looking at these things that are supposed, but they are also, bringing in revenue for the. So at a point in time, I think they are going very well, and
that means we are improving. That we are doing better.
Yes, in this aspect, we are in the right step into the right direction.
Okay. So in most developed countries, paying of taxes is almost a culture. Do you think Nigeria will get to that level anytime soon?
Like from the few stats I just dropped outside now, it means that it's going to get to that point where it's going to be like when you say it's a culture outside, it's simply because their tax net is more broad, captures almost everybody. In fact, even teenagers who are just earning, working and earning, like for example in UK, US, you can, even at 15 years, you can work. And you pay tax from the money you earn, you understand? So I think that is why it looks like a culture.
A culture there.
So, and here they will need to intensify more efforts in the payee, because not all employees get to pay tax. Not all employers deduct that tax and pay on to the government and all of that.
So you're saying everybody pays tax?
Right now, no. Right now, not so. But I'm saying that with the efforts that is being put in now, once it is sustained and maintained, definitely we are going to get to that level where almost everybody pays tax, and then tax will be like what you call a tax culture in Nigeria. And then we're going to start from the VAT, because I think one of the ways government were trying to generate, to increase revenue generation, they're looking at increasing VAT on luxury goods. So people that are good in buying Rolls Royce, Ferrari, you have those kinds of, they didn't pay more tax. So it was more like taxing the richer the people, because now VAT is at a flat rate of 5% on whatever it is, except on those goods that are actually exempted. And we've discussed some of those goods that are exempted to be basic food, medical supplies, services, and all of that, including educational books and also products that are actually on export. So if, for example, you are a producer of anything, you are exporting, somebody buying from abroad cannot pay tax on it. That's what it is. So
to those that don't really like paying tax, what's your advice to them? And those that have been paying their taxes, so what's your advice to them?
If you've been paying your tax before, it means that you know the benefits of paying tax. You know why you should pay tax. So it's important that you keep up that attitude and then encourage those around you who don't pay tax to pay their tax. So if you don't pay your tax, it's actually that you should start paying tax now, because this is how government thing. See, when you sit at home and then you lament of how roads are bad and whatever, if if all of us become tax compliant, right?
Yeah.
The
Things
money
will be
we
different.
get to generate will actually be, it will go a long way. Not that we must start borrowing, because one thing I understand about Nigeria is less than profligacy. Once we start any more, then we start spending lavishly more and all of that. But at least we'll have enough money to do. At least the US for example, they generate over about 10 trillion yes in this revenue every fiscal year. And so 10 trillion naira.
It's a big money.
It's a lot of money. Like when you sink it into Nigeria, do you know what that?
I'm telling you.
But we can actually get to that this level as well, so where we generate enough money.
Okay.
We're getting there. So we have, if they should do 6.6 trillion, if they meet the target of 6 trillion, our budget this year is 8.8 trillion, right? Or is it 8.92?
8.8 something. I think
Yes.
8.83 trillion.
So 8.8 trillion naira. And the FRSI setting a target of 6 trillion. If they get that, and with other things that
They're going somewhere.
somewhere
Nigeria is
now.
actually improving, I must confess.
Yeah, exactly.
So, your final thoughts to the federal government, at least tell them something and to encourage them more, to do more for us.
Well, like I said earlier, I'm not a fan of this government because I don't have issues, but I'm saying on this particular issue, on the tax and a few of the other policies, yes, I agree with them. And on this one, I will always say they should just keep up the efforts, yes. But at the same time, while they are trying to tax people, they should also create avenues, conducive environment where people can do their businesses and make more money, so that you can also tax them the more. When this man was governor of his state, Bill Clinton, he was governor of, I've forgotten the state which he was governor before he became president. And then he had this massive plan for education. And when they asked him at the Legislative House, how are you going to fund this thing? He said, raise taxes. There's no other way to go. We are going to raise taxes. So basically, if people earn, you will surely tax them. You tax people that earn money, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So imagine we have about 20.9 million Nigerians who are jobless. So imagine about half of those people become employed and you collect taxes from them. 20.9 million. Do you know that is more than the population of Ghana?
That is actually true. All right, that's the much we have for you today on TVN Business, and I want to appreciate Mr. Victor Tehema. I hope I'm correct with this pronunciation.
See, I just let you to go on with the pronunciation.
Okay.
However you can, but it's actually Victor Tehema.
Tehema, okay.
Tehemba.
Okay, okay. Victor Tehema. We are really grateful, and it was a great pleasure for me to have you on TVN Business. I hope to have you some other time. All right, people, ensure you pay your tax for a better Nigeria. I am Chiwende Osisiego. Thank you for watching.